Hello, and welcome back. In this episode, we're going to be doing a little bit of sampling. You may notice we've got the Digitakt here next to the Digitone. And I wanted to follow up on the generative sequencing video I did with the Digitone a couple of weeks ago. On that video, I received a comment asking about whether or not we could use the same approach or same techniques on the Digitakt. And we can do a very similar effect on the Digitakt using some sampling features, specifically using the slice machine that was added in a fairly recent firmware update. This technique I originally learned from an EasyBot video a while back, where he went over this. And it basically involves sampling in multiple notes and then using the slice machine to slice them up randomly as you play it back. So let's start. So on the Digitone, I've prepared a patch already. Sounds a bit like this. And we'll sample this in and play it out. We're going to set up a sequence of every single note in the scale, and I'm using C minor here. So we go to record. We go to record and set it to jump mode. Hold down the function key, and I can enter in the notes. So we'll just enter every note in. And I'm going to skip every other step. So we'll end up entering all 8 notes into this one sequence. Great. So I found that when we record this sequence into the Digitakt, it'll sometimes get a few pops and clicks. I'm not sure if that's my recording system or the Digitakt itself, but to give us a little bit of flexibility, we can adjust the playback scale of the sequence. Here I've set it to a half, so that each step ends up being an 8th note instead of a 16th. So it's something to try if you end up getting pops and clicks once we slice up the recording of this sequence. Remember to set the master length of the pattern to 32 because we now doubled the length, and we can go back. I would suggest trying it with the defaults at first to see how that sounds, and then scale it up like this to see if that helps. So at the Digitakt here, we can go into the sampler, make sure everything's cleared out. And we need to make sure that we set the steps appropriately to match the number of steps that we've got set on the Digitone. So in my case, I'm working with 32. By default, if you haven't extended your sequence length, you can leave it. You can set this to 16. But I'm going to set mine to 32. And then we just need to arm the input. And then we can play back on the Digitone. Perfect. So now we see our sample, and it's got all 8 notes that we just played. And we can save that. We'll just set that as recording. And we'll assign it to the cowbell. Now, if we go into the source settings of track 5 here, hold down function and source, we can go down to slice. And in here, we're going to change our grid size to 8 because we have 8 notes. Slice playback length will be set to 1 because we only want 1 note to play at a time. And for our slice number, we're going to change it from keyboard mode to the center of our grid. So we're going to set that to 4. And now if we go to the LFO, we can change the destination to slice select. We'll change our wave to random. And we'll change the mode to sample and hold. And now if we change the depth to 4, this will make the sample and hold go up or down for the 4 steps of our sample. We can leave the BPM and LFO speed settings on default. You could adjust those up or down if you want to add more variation between steps. For example, 16 is totally fine. So now if we play a note on the Digitakt, we should get different notes each time. There we go. We'll add those effects back on. So now we can go into our sequence and just enter notes as usual. Maybe we can add a couple extra ones and maybe a bit of retrigger. And maybe adjust the probabilities a little bit. So if we press play now, we should get a nice random sequence. Nice. So if we double tap the source button, you'll see it's playing each of our slices randomly, just like we'd expect. And that's getting random sequences on the Digitakt using the slice engine. Now for our next example, let's say that you have a voice on your synthesizer that's every time you play it, you get a slightly different effect, slightly different timbre. And you want to be able to capture those variations and incorporate them on your in your sequences. So I've set up a patch here on the Digitone, which uses a random sample and hold on some FM settings. So every time I play a note, it sounds completely different. It sounds a bit like this. Now it's a pretty extreme example, but it should help get the point across when we're sizing it up on the Digitakt. I got a sequence here on the Digitone, 8 steps again, and each one of these is the same note. Just we get 8 variations of a C in different timbres. Now, over on the Digitakt, we'll go into the sampler, and for this example, we'll go back to 16 steps. You'll see where our sequencer is on scale 1 here on the Digitone. So we'll record in 16 steps and hope it's not too crunchy. Okay, so if we arm that now, and we can play back our funky FM. Nice. There's our 8 steps variations. We can save that, and we'll assign it to track 5. Now we can go over to track 5 and let's see, and enable slice mode. Once again, we have 8 slices, and we'll set our main slice to the middle. And we'll go over to the LFO as before. Change our destination to the slice select. Set our waveform to set ourselves to random. And sample and hold. And adjust the depth to 4, so we pick between our 8 different slices. So now if we play a note on the keyboard, we should get our variations. Perfect. Now it was seeming a little low, so we can also dial up our tuning. That's better. Now we can go into our step record. If we hold down the function key, we can play our notes in. Perfect. And let's give that a listen. And with some effects. Maybe adjust the probability a bit. Nice. So that's a couple examples of how we can use the slice engine on the Digitakt to give our sequences a little more variation and randomization and make things a little more interesting. And I hope you found this useful. Please leave a comment below if you have any more questions or have any other approaches that you'd like me to take a look at. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.